Here in our national capital, the leader of the far right and the de facto leader of the Republican Party is, of course, on trial for his alleged role in trying to overturn the result of the election in which he was voted out. It's only one of 4 cases in which Donald Trump is currently facing multiple felony charges. But today there was big news in his federal case in Washington. Today, the judge overseeing Trump's federal criminal case in D.C., the one about him trying to overthrow the lawfully elected government of the United States, that federal judge in Washington today instituted a limited version of what's generally called a gag order that bans him by court order from disparaging the prosecutors or potential witnesses in his case or any personnel who work for the court in which he is being tried. Now, in terms of the exact contours of this court order, we are still expecting the judge's written order, but she did rule verbally from the bench today. And we got the transcript of it, which is amazing. It was just all day long, sort of rock'em sock'em rollicking hearing today. And at the very end of it, this was the judge giving part of the verbal version of the gag order, which Donald Trump will now be bound by. She said this, quote, "I cannot imagine any other criminal case in which a defendant is permitted to call a prosecutor deranged or a thug. And I will not permit it here simply because the defendant is running a political campaign. His presidential candidacy does not give him carte blanche to vilify and implicitly encourage violence against public servants who are simply doing their job. My review of past statements made by Mr. Trump in particular, as well as the evidence that they have led to harassment and threats for the people he has targeted, persuades me that without this restriction, there's a real risk that witnesses may be intimidated or unduly influenced, and that other potential witnesses may be reluctant to come forward, lest they be subjected to the same harassment and intimidation." Then she says this, quote, "Now, let me be clear. Mr. Trump may still vigorously seek public support as a presidential candidate, debate policies and people related to that candidacy. He may criticize the current administration and assert his belief that this prosecution is politically motivated. But those critical First Amendment freedoms do not allow him to launch a pretrial smear campaign against participating government staff, their families, and foreseeable witnesses. No other criminal defendant would be allowed to do so, and I am not going to allow it in this case." She then concludes with this. "For the reasons discussed during this hearing, therefore, I find that these measures are consistent with the rights secured by the First, Fifth, and Sixth Amendments, and that they are both necessary and narrowly tailored to safeguard the integrity of these proceedings, as well as to protect the safety of the people assisting with them. If any party or counsel," meaning any lawyer, "any party or counsel violates these restrictions or the other laws or obligations by which they are bound, I will, either upon receipt of a motion or sua sponte, meaning on my own as the judge, I will consider sanctions as may be necessary. Thank you. We're adjourned." Bang. The gavel falls. Accountability. Judge Tanya Chutkan ruling from the bench today in Washington. We await the written version of this order. Trump already says he's going to appeal it, but as of now, he is bound by it. Meanwhile, Republicans appear poised to elevate Donald Trump's closest major ally in Congress to be Speaker of the House, which would put Congressman Jim Jordan, among other things, third in the line of succession after the president and the vice president. Jim Jordan, of course, played a key role in Trump's efforts to use Congress to try to overturn the election result in 2020. If he does become Speaker, I got to say, it feels like it becomes basically an open question as to whether a House of Representatives under Jim Jordan's leadership would ever certify the election results of an election in which Donald Trump ran but lost.